5:30, I call this meeting of the Pittsburg City Commission to order. Will you join me with the flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have an invocation too, or?
I didn't think we did.
Oh, I was just asking. Looked like there was maybe somebody standing there.
Did we? Would you join me in our invocation tonight? Sorry about that.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this time that we can come together, our commission and all our city staff and other concerned citizens. Bless this time of gathering and fill it with your spirit, and may we make right decisions for the benefit and the welfare of the citizens of Pittsburg. And we thank you for all what they do and for the hours that they put in to make this a safer and happier place for all of us to live. We ask these things in thy holy name. Amen. Thank you.
All right. We set aside this part of the meeting for public input. If there's anything you want to come to the commission to talk about, come forward. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight for public hearings. If you want to speak on them, take that later in the agenda. All right, having no public input, move on to consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Gray,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ketterman,
Aye.
Munsell,
Aye.
Mernan.
Aye.
Motion carries. I have it. Now we're moving to the public hearing. Item A public hearing. The City of Pittsburgh advertised for public hearing to be held on Tuesday, May 26, 2015 at 5:30 p.m. for the purpose of considering an application to be submitted to the Kansas Department of Commerce for Small City Community Development Block Grants Special Round Funds.
Becky, come on up, Becky. We've got a couple people here to talk about this item.
All right.
Sure. So, good evening, commissioners. Thank you for being here tonight. I wanted to introduce you to Michael Bailey, who is a civil engineer with Trans Systems and would be the project manager on this project when we receive the grant funding. So I thought I would just briefly go over the grant for purposes of this public hearing. We're applying for funds to complete the east-west connector trail, which, let's see if I can, oops, I touched a screen that's not a touch screen. As part of the active transportation system that the city is designing, there's a portion of the east-west connector trail that still needed a bit of attention. What you're looking at is in purple, I think this is a pointer, yeah? This is the end of the Watco Trail, and it is at between 12th and 11th and Broadway. This grant is asking for a public restroom to be constructed there, so that will serve the purpose of anchoring the downtown corridor with a restroom facility. It will also be directly across the street from the Farmers Market Pavilion, so we'll have multiple purposes for its use. This portion of the trail that goes from Broadway across to, I think it's Michigan, and down to Schlanger Park is already funded, and I believe that construction is going to be happening this summer. This application, this CDBG application, is going to improve the sidewalks from Schlanger Park to Water Street, where we already have trail construction, and that will be the link that connects the entire east-west connector trail. In addition to the sidewalks and the public restroom, we will address the parking lot at Schlanger Park on the south side off of the 4th Street entrance, and it will be repaved and slightly improved to accommodate more vehicles for the Everybody Plays playground to make sure that it's ADA accessible. That is the real short, condensed version of what this grant is about, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time. Okay.
I don't have any questions about that, Becky, but you talked in this, that eventually there'll be a north-south corridor connector. Is that the main red line here? Will that be, and where would that run at?
I don't have an image of it, so I can't show you, but currently, South Rouse Trail is funded and under construction, and Kim may be a better person to answer this question. I believe that continuing up Rouse to 4th Street, there are plans for more sidewalk/trail improvements. So that would be a major north-south corridor, and it could extend further up north on Rouse eventually, although the plans are not necessarily underway for that right now. I think that this red is considered a good street for bicyclists to be on.
The area you're talking about much needs attention, so it's great that we're cleaning that part of it up. It's great.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Is there a motion to approve the submittal for an application?
Public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. I'm trying to do like you, Monica.
I know, move it along.
All right. Seeing no one that wants to talk publicly about this, is there a motion to approve the submittal for application?
We have to close the hearing before we vote.
I think it's been open, yeah, just formally close, and then you can have your motion and vote.
I will close the public input on this
I'd
hearing.
move to approve.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same time. The ayes have it, motion carries. B, public hearing. The city of Pittsburgh advertised for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, May 26, 2015 at 5:30 p.m. for the purpose of considering the renewal of the city retail sales tax used to maintain and repair city streets in the amount of 1/4% for an additional 5 years to take effect on the first day of April 2016.
Mayor, City Commissioners, as you recall, at the last meeting, we discussed what was a big item on our working day agenda, which is renewal of the sales tax, which expires in April of 2016. And at your request, maybe we thought it'd be the most prudent thing to do is have a public hearing today, see if there were any comments from the citizens about how we've done over the last 4 years, what we're entering the 5th year. And then obviously after the public hearing, we'd like to get your thoughts on how to proceed with an ordinance to hopefully get this thing handled. We don't want to wait till the last minute to try to get it renewed, if that's your pleasure. So with that, turn it back to you.
Did you open the public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody want to speak publicly about this proposed renewal of the sales tax? Having seen none, I'll close the public input at this time and entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
What are we
For
approving?
an additional 5-year term.
Yeah, actually, what we need to know now is how you guys want to proceed. Are there any questions we can answer for you?
So it'll be the same tax we have now, just another 5 years of the.
Do you need to bring another ordinance back before we vote on it?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right.
I would make a motion that you do that, bring an ordinance back for an extension of another 5 years. And
I'd second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same time. Motion carried.
Thanks.
Special presentation. 2014 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. Brian Nick of Mertz, Hauser and Company, PA. The city's auditing firm will present to review the city's 2014 audit and CAFR.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have Brian Knight from Mize Hauser and Company, the city's current auditing firm. He's here to present the 2014 city audit and comprehensive annual financial report. So I'll introduce Brian and let him take over.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Brian Knight, and I'm with Mize Hauser.
and Company. We did the audit for 2014. Do you guys have a copy of this with you? Okay. I'm just going to give you just hopscotch through this thing real quick. It's not going to be long. Just kind of give you, there's a lot of information here, just sort of point you in the right direction and some interesting things that I find, and basically just the more relevant information about what we do. And obviously what we do is we come in and look at your financial statements, and we are giving an opinion that those financial statements are free of material misstatements. And that is the main focus of the audit. And if you turn to page 2, at the top paragraph, you'll see that you have an unqualified opinion for 2014, and that's the highest level opinion available. So that does speak very highly about the financial accounting and management as far as what the numbers are that go into this report. Additionally, because you guys spent more than $500,000 in federal aid, we do an additional audit called a single audit. And that is referenced in the last paragraph on page 2. It is also referenced later on in the report, and I'll bounce you to there real quick here in just a minute. If you turn to page 15, if you are following along, this is the statement of net position. And this is all of your funds rolled together in a full GAAP presentation in compliance with GASB 34 reporting model. And it actually is some very good information, but your fund information is not here. It's all a roll-up of the individual funds. But I will tell you, those funds are within this report. It's hard to find them. So if once you get into it, if you have questions, you can definitely give us a call. But this is a complete picture of the city balance sheet on full accrual basis of accounting. So it's a little complicated, but once you get into it, it kind of starts to make some sense to you. Page 16 is what is considered like an income statement for a government. It's really not in the format you'd normally see it in, but I did want to just point your attention down to the change in net position. That would sort of be like a net income amount, and that's on page 16. So those are just the two main statements that are a little bit confusing. So if you have questions on them, you can definitely call us. Page 17 has all of your governmental funds and the modified accrual basis. So those are a little more useful to people who understand the funds or maybe want to see the funds. So I just like to mention that. Your business type funds are made up of the two funds on page 25, 24 and 25. So you can see that those actually roll together also to those front statements. So you can see that it's made up of the water and wastewater and the stormwater funds together. They roll up into those front funds. So I mentioned earlier the single audit. And that is on, if you go back to page 87, this shows all of your expenditures by federal award, by program essentially. And so what we have to do is select programs each year that are over $500,000, and we do a specific program audit of that fund. This year we did the Section 8 grant, and we also did the drinking water. And you'll see, if you turn to page 90, they have you had one prior year finding, and you actually had no current year finding, so that they were able to clean up the finding they had on the Section 8 from last year, and they cleaned that up for this year. We also issue an actual opinion on the single audit portion on page 92. And it's not the same as the overall financial opinion, but it does state that the results of the test disclose no instances of noncompliance. So after we put that through the compliance testing, we found no instances of noncompliance. So that's also a clean report, so that's very good. Lastly, we also, because it's a single audit, we issue this report on page 93, which is the independent auditor's report on the major programs and internal control. And you'll see referenced on there, we have also an opinion that they complied with all the necessary requirements. In addition, on page 92, we did note that we sent a management letter to the city noting other matters that were not reportable within this report. And those are, some were verbal. We had some written down. Mostly we did verbal comments with Jamie if we came across a few things. And we feel very comfortable going forward that the management is aware of what we consider to be minor issues, and that they're working on getting them corrected. So. And Jamie has a copy of the actual letter if you guys would like to see that and address it. So we have discussed them all extensively and feel very comfortable with them, so. I can take questions at this time, or if you guys want to know anything else about the report, I can definitely.
You guys seen the letter?
Yes.
Okay.
Does anyone have questions for Brian?
Great report. Jamie, thanks for all your work in making it so that this nice man can tell us you're doing a good job.
I would also like to thank the accounting staff and Jamie especially. They do a really outstanding job of getting us the information we need, so I appreciate it.
Obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Job, Jamie.
Consider the following. Review of bids, awards of sale. The city of Pittsburgh advertised for the bids to be received until 10:30 a.m. on May 26, 2015 for the purchase of $6,715,000 aggregate principal amount of general obligation bonds, Series 2015A, to be acted upon by the governing body at its meeting commencing at 5:30. The city's Director of Finance, along with the city's financial advisor, will present verbal recommendation. Jamie?
Commissioners, Mayor, if you recall, we've discussed this several times in the past where we were going to refinance two Kansas Department of Health and Environment loans to save on interest cost. The term of the debt will remain the same, but the interest cost will be lowered. And one point I'd like to bring up, I don't know if you guys are aware, but we had our bond rating with Standard & Poor's last week, and the city got upgraded from an A+ to a AA-, which is really a good sign. So, back to the bond issue.
Amy, would you mind going into additional detail on, as to why that occurred? Do you have any feedback that you can provide citizens in terms
Sure.
of? I know the answer, but I figured it might be good for other people to hear it in terms of why that occurred.
The Standard & Poor's Review Committee stated that the upgrade reflects their view of the city's enhanced financial management practices, which they consider strong, coupled with stable budgetary performance in 2014 and projected stability in future years. So that speaks, I think, highly for the city.
Was that as a result of those forecasts and plans that we've been putting together?
Basically, it's our 5-year financial planning and our 5-year capital improvements planning. These raters like to see management that do these types of things. It really helps them have a better feel for the management of the organization and their forward thinking, and so, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for elaborating on that. I just
Yeah.
wanted people to understand that.
Previously, Tom Calico with Springstead, he gave us an estimate on what he thought the savings would be for on the interest, and it was based upon our A+ rating, and it was like he projected around $450,000 over the term of the debt and interest savings. Well, I think with our new rating now and what the bond rates we got today, it's like $503,000 is the net savings for interest. So it does make a difference. So if there's not any more questions, I'll have Tom come up and explain the bid process for the bonds that went down this morning.
Good evening. I don't have a whole lot more to cover. Jamie's covered most of it. Just a few details. So we took bids this morning at 10:30 a.m. We received 3 bids, with the winning bid being a syndicate of 3 banks, which was led by SunTrust Robinson Humphrey out of Nashville, Tennessee, at a true interest cost of 2.31%. As Jamie mentioned, that's a present value savings of approximately $500,000, which represents about 6.8% of the refunded debt service. And that's significant in that the Government Finance Officers Association, which is the professional association that Jamie and myself look to for guidance on policies for local governments, the Government Finance Officers Association recommends that for a refunding you should get a minimum savings of at least 3%. So this is double the amount that the GFOA sees as a minimum, and is, I can tell you from doing a lot of refundings, a pretty healthy percentage. We felt it was a very aggressive bid. SunTrust's bid was very aggressive based on the number of bids received. While 3 may not seem like a lot, I was looking back at your past issues, and you've been hovering around 4 or so bids for the last few years. You have to go back quite a ways to see numbers higher, much higher than that, and that's a function of the post-Great Recession consolidation of banks that we've seen. So number of bids, comparable transactions in the marketplace, also a good indice of the aggressiveness of the bid, as well as just general market indicators. Jamie talked a little bit about the rating. I want to just enhance on that a little bit. Truly, the improvements that have been made in your financial practices were the main element in this upgrade. Your economy, local economy hasn't changed a whole lot since the last rating, which was a year or so ago. Your finances have changed a little bit to the better, but not significantly. They were good before, they're still good. But what has changed is your financial practices, and I'm not surprised that S&P chose to upgrade the city based largely on that factor. To give you an idea, Standard & Poor's does what they call their FMA, Financial Management Assessment, and you get a score for that that's part of your overall rating score. And the city had been scored good in the past. It was elevated now to strong, which is the highest rating that you can get on the financial management assessment. So clearly, that excellent work led to this result. And the citizens of Pittsburgh will benefit greatly by this, because the interest that you will pay on bonds, like the ones you sold today, will be substantially lower as a result of your having this higher rating. So really a big deal, and we at Springstead like to celebrate those. I don't have it with me tonight, but I will be returning in the near future. We will be providing you with a really nice framed certificate that you can hang in City Hall or in this building or somewhere to show that you've received this upgrade. You have 3 actions ahead of you. One is to authorize, or to basically accept the bids. The second is an ordinance which authorizes the sale of the bonds, and then you have a resolution which sets the term of the bonds. And as I think I've told some of you in the past, but some of you are new, the reason why we separate that is you have to publish the ordinance, and if we did it all as one document, it's a really long document, it's very expensive to publish, so we have the shorter ordinance, and then we have the longer resolution that sets the terms. I'd be happy to respond to any questions if you have any.
I'd move to approve the bid as proposed.
Can it,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries, I have it.
also, Jamie, I'd just like to congratulate you and all the staff on doing such a fine job for the city. We appreciate it.
Item B, ordinance number S-1020. Consider ordinance number S-1020 authorizing the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2015A of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, under the authority of the Article 12, Section 5 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas, Home Rule Ordinance number HR 5 of the City, KSA 12-101 and KSA 10-101 to 125, inclusive, all as amended. Jamie?
This is just part of the legal requirements for the bond issue. Just need you guys to take a vote on it.
Jamie, there were hard copies provided tonight. Do those have any changes, or those were just extra copies for us to have?
Tammy's got the ones with the numbers in it, because we didn't
Gotcha.
get the numbers till the day until the bonds were sold.
Okay, just want to make
That
sure.
that the mayor will sign if it's approved. Sure.
I'm sorry. One thing I meant to mention, and it's relevant to what you're about to do. So the size of the bond issue was reduced because you received a premium on the bonds. Premium is essentially a marketing technique investors like, particularly in a time when they expect interest rates to rise in the future. So you basically accept a higher interest rate, you get some cash with it, you reduce the size of your borrowing, it's a wash to you, but it's a benefit to the investor. So the actual amount has been reduced to $6,370,000. So if you're going to reference the bond amount in any of your motions, make sure you reference $6,370,000. Sorry.
Thanks.
I'll go ahead and move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item C, resolution number 1169. Consider resolution 1169 prescribing the form and details of the City of Pittsburg, Kansas General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2015A, the issuance of which was authorized by the city pursuant to its ordinance number S-1020, passed and approved May 26, 2015, and authorizes certain other documents and actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds.
Again, this is just another legal document that's required to facilitate this process. I just need you guys to take a vote for approval.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks.
Item D, ordinance number S-1021. Consideration of an ordinance number S-1021, granting to Kansas Gas and Electric Company, a Kansas corporation doing business as Westar Energy, its successors, and assigns an electric fan size, prescribing the terms thereof and relating thereto, and repealing ordinance S-917.
Mayor, Commissioners, this is our renewal of our Westar Energy franchise. A few changes. First of all, it's for 2 years with a 1-year renewal. So I think the original one was 10 years, the one that just expired was a 20. So significantly different here, but we thought under the current state of things in the world economy and here in the state of Kansas, a 20-year agreement for anything seemed a little overboard. Westar was very easy to deal with on this. Everything else is the same. 5% of the gross cash receipts is really what we're looking at. That's the maximum, I believe, and that we're comfortable with. Anything above that, we could go up to, I believe, probably unlimited. But if we went up to 6 or 7%, they would simply pass it on to the taxpayers here, so it really wouldn't be getting us anywhere. Henry's here. He negotiated the deal for the most part with the Westar attorney. Jay worked hard on this. This is an important document. There's a lot in it, but those are the highlights. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer it for you.
Any questions for Darren?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Development agreement. Staff is requesting governing body to approve of the development agreement between the City of Pittsburg, Kansas and Walmart Real Estate Businesses Trust for design and construction of improvements and associated costs with the wiring and installing of a traffic signal at the intersection of East Centennial Drive and South Rouse Street.
Commissioners, we met through several meetings, a lot of telephone calls with the developer of the Centennial and Rouse Street project. There's a lot of things that we wanted out of that development, a lot of needs that we felt had to be done. One, we wanted a continuation of the trail, which they are going to do with their site plan. They show that. But the other thing that we pushed for and felt the need for was a traffic signal at the intersection of Centennial and Rouse. We felt that there was enough traffic there already, and that any traffic that they were to add with that development would just increase it to a point that there would need to be a signal there. We were able to negotiate with them to pay half the cost of that signal. That's similar to what they did at the 29th and Broadway intersection when the main store went in there, or 27th and Broadway. This agreement just cements our negotiations with them. They'll have a contractor that'll actually install that. PEC actually did the design of the intersection signalization. It'll be overhead signals, have turn lanes. It'll actually have some improvements on the corners, new sidewalks basically to accommodate the handicaps so that they can get to the push buttons.
There'll be some milling and overlay where they changed the marking there at the intersection to allow for the turn signals, turn lanes. Anyhow, our cost of that is we're paying half of that. We pay half the engineering, half the construction cost. What this agreement says that we'll put in escrow with them our amount, which is $124,695.50, which is our half of the intersection less the money we've already expended for the engineering at that intersection. If this is approved, it's just basically approve the mayor to sign. They'll actually took the bids today, so they have to have all these documents in place before they close, which the closing is going to be on June the 1st. So once we approve this, they'll go ahead and get the documents on their end signed and send us an original for the mayor to sign, and be good to go with those improvements. Any questions?
Bill, during the construction of that, how will traffic be deterred through that intersection to the hospital, or?
They probably won't deter. They'll probably choke down lanes while they're doing construction. They'll have traffic control there, so they'll be moving from one lane to another lane, similar to what we do on an intersection, because we're not actually, other than milling and overlay, we're not laying new concrete. So there'll be periods of time when they're milling that they'll move traffic over to one lane. You know, instead of having a 4-lane, it'll be a 2-lane road. So.
Right.
And this work will be completed before any construction is completed, correct?
One of the items we have in here is that the light will be operational before the store opens its doors.
Before it opens, not before it starts construction.
Right, before it opens its doors.
Bill, I've talked to several people who have expressed concern about the city entering into sort of agreements or appearing to give concessions to Walmart with concerns about like smaller local businesses and that kind of thing. Would this agreement simply stipulate like that we're going halvesies on it and that's the extent of it? Like, are they getting any further?
Actually, this is us going to Walmart and say, in addition to coming to Pittsburgh, we're not going to give you any concessions. We're going to make you help us pay for a signal. So it's no concessions. They are actually helping us construct a much needed signal. So there is no concessions with this whatsoever. So this is actually.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
We had a signal in our long-term CIP for the intersection. This is really just an opportunity for us to only pay for half of it, which, as Bill said, will actually save us some money and get it done a little sooner. So, and I know it's not a roundabout. Bill said that's why he's going to retire, because he's refused to build any roundabouts in his life.
With you, Bill.
We're going to keep looking at intersections, though, for roundabout options.
That was going to be my follow-up. Was I know that there had been discussion of a roundabout, and I was curious about how it had gotten from that to the traffic signal.
A roundabout would have cost us probably close to $2 million. We could almost afford to build Rouse Street for what we could build a roundabout for. We'd have to acquire additional land, which means we'd probably have to take away enough from that corner on the southeast corner to make it, not southeast, northeast corner, to make it maybe not a buildable lot. So they're great where you have the open space where you're able to buy land, but in this case, because it's a 4-lane road, you have 3 4-lane roads and hopefully another one in the future. It just doesn't lend itself to the space or the cost.
Any questions for Bill?
I'd move to approve the agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
In motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item F, appointments, Land Bank Board of Trustees. Staff is recommending the appointment of the following individuals to first term as members of the Land Bank Board of Trustees. Kayla Spigarelli, legal professional, 1-year term. Tom Spurgeon, financial professional, 2-year term. Troy Graham, Crawford County representative, 1-year term. Dusty Brown, USD 250 representative, 3-year term. And Marty Beasley, EDAC representative, 2-year term. Staff is requesting that the governing body further appoint one individual to represent the construction industry one individual to represent the real estate professional to a 3-year term as members of the Land Bank Board of Trustees.
So we are getting much closer to having a land bank now. This is kind of exciting. We did receive the nominations that you see before you, in addition to 3 other nominees who did not fit into the 7 categories that we've created to be voting board members, but we have determined it would probably be best practice to invite them to participate in the board meetings and to gain their insight and expertise as the board goes about their business. And so when I was receiving these nominees, I plugged them into the categories where they fit, and you'll notice that there were 3 individuals nominated under the construction professional category and 3 nominated under the real estate professional category. The other categories just received those 1 nominations.
Say there are 3 additional people before, will we get their names so we know who they are?
Yes, I can give you their names. Janet Zepernick, Stuart Owsley, and Corrine Stroop.
All right, thanks.
Yes.
So we have,
For clarification, Becky, sorry, the question came to my mind as you were walking away.
No.
So will these individuals be voting board members, or will they just be allowed to participate? I just didn't.
The
for
3
clarification.
additional will not be voting members.
They will not be voting?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sorry.
further questions?
Okay, do we need to turn these in before we approve or do we
Either
approve
do
it?
it, you could approve the ones that are set forth in the agenda that you know already, if you would prefer, and then do the others later, or you could do them all at once.
I think we do them all at once.
Okay. Our favorite part of any meetings, of course.
All right, Mayor, Commissioners, for the construction professional, it looks like we have Matt Hess as the top vote getter. And under the real estate professionals, it looks like Brian Jones received the most votes. So add those 2 to your list above, and
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
thanks.
We have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item G, purchasing policy revision. Considering revising the weighted local preference portion of the city's purchasing policy.
Mayor, Commissioners, at the last meeting, I think it was the last meeting, we talked about taking another look at the purchasing policy. We did that, I believe, sometime in the last year, looked at local preference, went to a lot of other cities, saw what they had. In the end, I think we stuck with our 3%. Then somebody had the idea, what if we looked out at, there's an area within our town, just on the outskirts, whether it's a mile or 2 miles or 3 miles, where you actually would incorporate other businesses, which to a lot of us feel like they are local, although they're not in incorporated city limits. So we were asked to take a look at that. I believe you got the copy of the maps with the concentric circles on the way out. And the other thing we'd recommend was,
Didn't get that.
No, we didn't get the maps. At least
have
I
you,
don't
so you haven't seen, basically, if you're familiar with the town, just about everything's captured within a mile. I mean, you get 3 miles out and, you're well into the county. So what we recommended was the following language. Hopefully you have a copy of that in front of you. If you're okay with that language, it was a little slippery because we didn't want, that may be a situation where you have somebody just outside of the city limits, but you also have somebody within the city limits. We wanted to give the preference to that. So That's reflected in the red. I can read it if you would like me to, and otherwise.
Could you read that, Darren, for the people
Sure.
who might be watching?
It starts out, the existing language says, local Pittsburgh vendors shall receive preference in the amount of 3%. What we are recommending is that we add, the local preference applies to businesses in an area within a mile of the city of Pittsburgh corporate city limits. However, in a case where a bidder within the corporate city limits and a bidder outside the city limits are the lowest bidders, including the preference, then the bidder within the city limits would be awarded the contract. So hopefully that's pretty clear. We wrote it 5 or 6 times, and Henry reviewed it, but I hope it states what you were looking for. I think it'd be a good addition to our local preference policy, and we put it out for your consideration and comment.
I think that helps the consideration a lot, because there is a couple of businesses that they may not be in the city limits, but they are local businesses that this will benefit them, I think, in the future, so.
And so, for clarification, it's a mile from.
It's 1 mile.
From the city, any part of the city boundaries or the city center?
Oh, no, without the city limits.
Any boundary? Okay, thanks.
I'll move to approve.
there a
If there's
second?
no other questions.
Second.
Question, John? John, second. Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Any non-agenda reports and requests?
Not to my knowledge, but sometimes I get, looks like we're clean.
That's, all right. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.
We have to vote.